All right. I'll start from the beginning again. My name is Uchenna and today's guest is Zoe Pennant, the sage. She's going to introduce herself. But for me, what I do is to create memes about self-development, memes about understanding who we are and why we are here, memes about authenticity, memes about self-love. And I do it purposely like that so that it can be shared, so that my ideas can reach people in the kind of format as it is now with the technology that we have. Then I also do videos every day on YouTube, virtual on the same kind of topics too, self-love, authenticity, etc. The topic for today, what we're talking about today is how to deal with deep-rooted emotions. So we're going to be going into that after Zoe introduces herself, so we can know her background and where she's coming from and how she got here. All right. You can.
Okay. So, welcome guys. Welcome everyone. I'm Zoe Pennant, known as the Sage, and the Sage was given to me by a spiritual teacher, and I really wasn't comfortable with taking on a label like that, so I ran away from it for quite a while. And then I realized and understood that we all have the Sage within us, and the Sage is the oneness of us all. And by me embracing that, I was okay to embrace the name, just like Zoe, you know, and just like all the other labels that I have. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, you know, I'm a sister, I'm, you know, dyslexic, I'm autistic, you know, there's so many labels that we have on us. And so I was able to take on the Sage as well. My journey, my spiritual journey has been really started from when I could remember being alive. So I would say probably about 3, 4. And I realized that when I was on this earth, I felt like I just was plumped here on earth and I wasn't connected with anyone. And I had to get to learn who my family were and learn who I was. And I took long to speak. And when I did communicate, it was with the spirit world first and for a very long time until I got comfortable. It's like I needed to get grounded in this world. And from there, grew up as a young adult and realized that it wasn't just me. There was many people out there that were similar to me that had their spiritual path and connected with their spiritual journey in different ways. And it allowed me to be who I am today. So I'm the Sage and I'm here and I share stories, my story, my journey. I share information that people can have an identity to find out who they are. So I'm not a teacher and I don't claim to be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher, actually. I'm not here to tell anyone it's this way or it's that way when it comes to life. What I am here to do is share. And by sharing, we're able to connect with each other. By sharing, we're able to give our own opinions and share together without any judgments, without saying that person's right and that person's wrong. So my spiritual path is all about that, all about the oneness, not just humans, but animals and insects and the elements and connecting with everything. And I like to share that. And that's what I'm here. The Sage is here to share that. And it's been a long time coming. It really has. I've been being in like a cave for many years and not really wanting to share and speak out. So yeah, this is where I'm at now, and this is what I do. And today's going to be good. Tonight, this evening is going to be good. We're going to be speaking about dealing with deep-rooted emotions. So that is about me. I'm sure throughout the time of us speaking, other things will come up and other stories will come up about ourselves. while we're sharing and discussing.
All right. Yeah. Well, I learned a few things about you. I didn't know you had speaking issues or problems. I also had something like that. I stuttered a lot, stammered a lot, so I never really got to talk at all. I was more of an observer growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when you become like that, even now, you can guarantee you throughout this interview, or this discussion, I will be getting my words mixed up. It's just how it goes. And when you're younger, you don't have the confidence to go forward. So you need to grow within that, and be okay of how we speak, and be okay that there's other methods of communication we use more than the other. And that's okay as well.
Okay, yeah. So even that in itself, is one of the deep emotions, that we carry around in our body.
Yeah.
Follow us around. So, but I would like us to start with a definition. Well, not really a definition, but an explanation. What are emotions, and what are deep-rooted emotions?
Okay.
By your understanding, what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the basic emotions that we know of is, I won't say all of them because there's so many, but examples would be anger emotions, happy emotions, sad emotions, anxiety emotions, communication emotions, surprise emotions. Like, there's so many basic emotions. They call it basic, but it's not. It's part of who we are. So emotions is limitless. What, the list can go on. And what is emotion? To me, emotion is energy. It's energy before anything. And then what makes it something? So what we have emotion, that's energy. What makes it become a sad energy, or an anger energy, or an anxiety energy, or a trauma energy? It would have to come. I'm not a doctor, by the way. This is why we're discussing this. For me, it would have to come from our thoughts and our ego for us to feel it to be something, as a something energy. It would have to come from our thoughts, or what we're seeing, or what we're feeling, to become an emotion of something. Yeah. I know, I'll give you an example. When I was younger, and there was an emotion that I used to have to deal with every single month. And it was the time of the month, something that women go through. And that emotion that I had to deal with every single month was, for me, it was an energy and an emotion that wasn't quite, what's the word, appealing to me. It was an energy that I had to struggle with each month, because the emotions would be complex. It would be emotional emotions. Then it would be high emotions of happiness, but with sad within a second. So it would go up and down. It was literally like a strong wave every single month. So that's an example of emotions. And that's an example of, someone would call it deep rooted emotion, because it's an emotion that some women, like myself, women out there who's listening, they'll be able to understand if they went through it. You don't have control. So it's an emotion that you don't have control. You're literally just up and down within that moment, within that week or days, whatever it is. And then you come back to balance. Yeah. So what I'm saying here, when we say, okay, what is emotions? Emotions are limitless. Emotion is a thought process, a mindset process that we attached our mind to, for us to even have a feeling of what is an emotion, because it's just energy. And that's my take on it. What would you add to that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I won't add much to it. But I know it's an energy that's seated. How would I put it? That very much forms who we are. I can use a synonym, like feelings. So those emotions, for me, I can use examples to clarify what I'm saying. There are things like sadness, happiness, anger, fear, anxiety, shame, guilt. Um, these are emotions that we feel, throughout the day. I can't say where they come from, but if we trace their origins we go back to our childhood and probably years before then, because we also transfer we were given, how I put it, some trauma or whatever, through our DNA that we inherited from our parents. So we're also carrying, millions of years of conditioning within us. Our brain is millions of years old. Everybody, even a newborn baby, has that fear of dying. They know, because I have two very little babies that don't even that shouldn't be conscious enough, to know certain things. Yeah, I'm saying, but they know those things. My first one, before she even got to 1 year old, she if you're trying to put your hand, let's say her ears or her mouth, she removes, like, she knows the sensitive parts of her body, and she knows that nobody should. She knows that you shouldn't be doing that. So she came and she, like, I could see the fear sometimes and the joy and the happiness and this and that. So she already has those emotions even before she becomes conscious enough to even know where she is. Yeah. So we have those ones that came with us, that are in our bones, in our DNA. So it's not going anywhere. Our life is basically a flow of emotions. We pass through different emotions right from when we wake up in the morning up until when we go back to sleep. For me, when I wake up in the morning, because I call my sleep, my sleep is like a resetting. It resets my whole system back to my factory setting, my default setting. So when I wake up in the morning, I wake up, how would I put it? I wake up with anxiety sometimes, most times. But I've mastered the art, of awareness. So once the negative talk starts coming, I know it's already there. So I'm able to, how would I put it, to capture it, and use it for whatever I want to use it for. And that's how most of us wake up, and a lot of people do it unconsciously and just move through the day with their subconscious mind controlling everything about them, taking them to different places and whatever, which is what we're going to discuss today. But the aim, of course, is to bring that subconscious thoughts into what we call consciousness, into the light, and being aware that it is there, and also being aware that it's not the only reality. Most of the things, what I teach about mainly is paradox, understanding that there are two sides to everything. You can't have that negative emotion without having the positive one. So they are both there, and it's you that gets to decide. But the subconscious always brings out the negative one because it's trying to keep us safe and trying to make us trying to keep us safe and trying to make us not to take risks, basically. And that's what I understand about emotions. But now that we've explained it, and I don't know if you have anything to add about the origins and
Yeah. The only thing I would add to what you're saying, which was all fantastic, was that the foods that we eat causes an effect on our emotions as well. the
Yeah.
foods that we eat. And we know this because if we eat something and it might just make us tired straight away, and that can change our emotions, you know, or we're eating something and it can get us really hyper, and that can change certain emotions. Medication as well. There's people that has to take medication. Depending on the medication, changes their mood and their emotion as well. So I just wanted to add those bits onto it as well, because it's not just about our mindset of what we're thinking or what we're feeling. It's what we're putting into our body also that causes an effect on our emotions as well.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll also add something there again because I talk from my
We're
own
going to keep
personal
on adding on.
experience.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're talking about deep
Yeah,
rooted emotions, because even the choice of the food is driven by an emotion again.
yeah,
Yeah, food is a drug somehow. Not somehow. It is a drug. It
yeah,
can be a medicine. It can be whatever. Yeah, but
yeah,
it's the choice of our foods are also driven by emotions.
yes,
Um, it's based on how you feel about yourself uh, that makes you to choose, what kind of how do I put it? What kind of nutrients you're putting in your body.
yeah,
There are lots of foods, including alcohol and all the rest of them. So
yeah,
the choices that we make during the day are also driven somehow by how we feel about
yeah.
ourselves. And yeah, so it's really very deep. It's really inside ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
like
always ends up coming back to ourselves and
yeah,
inside the box
yeah,
within.
really
Yeah.
within, yeah, really deep within. So yeah, we've mentioned different types of emotions that we go through. So how do we deal with these emotions? Okay, no, we say we're going to mention that we're going to describe what it means for an emotion to be deep rooted, but I think we've discussed a bit of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So
really, if you think about it, if we're talking about emotions and deep rooted, for me personally, there's no, where you were saying about you need to look at the positives and the negatives and you have choices. You can't do one without the other. I feel that when we talk about emotions, emotions is just emotions, and you have different forms of emotions depending on how we're connected to it at that time. But to say deep rooted, we would have to say, well, not deep rooted then, the opposite to that. And is there really an opposite to that, or is it just emotions on a whole? What does it mean to say deep rooted? Why is that deep rooted emotion any better or should be looked at any less or any more than emotions that's just emotions? Then deep rooted emotions will end up just being emotions on a whole. Yeah.
mhm.
And somebody else might say, okay, but I think mine's deep rooted because it's been here from childhood. And it's the same deep rooted emotion that I feel all the time. Then we can say, okay, so you're saying it's deep rooted because you have a thinking of the past that's attached to. That's why you're saying it's deep rooted. And then somebody else would say, oh, I don't think mine's deep rooted then because my one just comes, like when I'm angry and I attract, I'm able to identify that anger emotion when it comes, but I don't think it's got nothing to do with my past. So that means it's not deep rooted. So are we saying then that, and I'm putting it out there, so I'm not telling, I'm just having a discussion here, that is deep rooted, for it to be deep rooted, does it mean that it's something that has to be from the past, from my ancestors, for it to be deep rooted? Or is it that emotions are just emotions anyhow? And then depending on how you associate yourself with those emotions is going to cause an effect of how you see how deep it is. And that's going to be probably a person's individual way of how they see it. So again, there will be no right or wrong. It's just a person's opinion on how they see their own deep-rooted emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're very right. Because if we're saying that there's deep-rooted emotions, then that means there should be surface emotions, or the ones that just come and the fleeting emotions, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are still all going to be related. But what I mean by deep-rooted emotions, like you said, are the ones from our childhood.
Yeah.
So it could be trauma, it could be it could be some kind of trauma. It's a learned response, basically, to events that happen in our lives. So the way we respond to things, the experiences that we had in childhood, the way we've learned to respond to things, are what create those emotions, and they are firmly embedded in us. So even when you're an adult, something random can just trigger those
Yeah.
feelings again, and you go through those emotions, even though it's not how do I put it? Even though it's not a real threat to you in the present moment, but you can sense it. If somebody looks at you somehow, you
Yeah.
yeah, you have a kind of reaction within you, and that person might not really be looking at you in a dangerous way, or and I see it a lot on social media. Maybe through text. I could write something and somebody will say, "Why are you angry?" Or "Why are you shouting?" or
Yeah.
something like that. But it's just like I wasn't feeling anything when I wrote whatever I wrote. But
Yeah.
how they read it, the meaning that it gives to them is that you're angry. There's some words so those are the deep-seated emotions. What we want to discuss today basically are the negative emotions. Those are the ones that people have problems with. Um, People are looking for how to either escape them, or to minimize them, um, or to reduce them. So that's what dealing with means. So let's get straight to the what we came to discuss today. How do we deal with negative emotions? Now, the examples I'll give about are like depression, anxiety, sadness, fear. Fear has so many components. There's fear of there's fear of so many things. Fear of failure, fear of, but I mean the irrational fears, basically. Um, Fear. Well, they're all good. Even the fear and the anxiety and all those things in little amounts, they're good. Everybody needs them. We can't survive without them. But when it now becomes a, how do I put it? When it paralyzes your life or stops you from functioning normally, that's where the problem comes in. Let's say you're always anxious. I mean, most of the time, 70% of the time. That's what we're talking about. How do we deal with that?
Well, again, everyone's going to have their own concept and their own opinion on how we deal with emotions on a whole. If we're talking about emotions like fair emotions, emotions that is limiting your life, emotions that you feel is holding you back, yeah, emotions that needs to change form because it's causing an effect in your life that you don't feel good within yourself. Those sort of emotions are all built within. Yeah, it's all built within, even though it can look like it's from the outside. So I'll give you an example. I'm a storyteller, so I'm always giving an example. But I used to have quite a strong fear emotions of animals and dogs. I mean, I was afraid of them. I never would have a dog. I just wouldn't have them as a pet. I wouldn't want to be around someone's house that has dogs. If I'm in a park, I wouldn't go to parks as much when I was younger because I didn't like dogs. And it would just be an anxiety that will come up every time I saw dogs or be around dogs. And this happened from childhood all the way up into young adulthood. And then I got to a stage of spiritually be sorting out my baggage. Yeah, that's what I called it. I got to a stage of bit by bit sorting out my baggage. And that was one of them, of many, I would say, one of them of many. And that emotion that I used to have with dogs, I had to do something about it. So what I chose to do, this is just an example, I chose to act on it and choose to love it. So all my fears that I had with life, all my anger that I used to have with life, and all my sadness that I used to have with life, it was all within, and I needed to act on it. So I chose to do something about it. So with my dog situation now, before I got a dog, I love dogs now, by the way, but before I got a dog for myself, I had to take little steps. So I would be in a park now and I would go up to a dog. And where I'll be fearful, like, no, they're going to bite me. Why do I think that any dog that I see is naturally just going to bite? Why do I think when they start barking, it's a negative bark, that they don't like me or they're going to come and bite me? And I had to look at that. And it was all me. It was nothing to do with the dog, because when I changed my mindset of, okay, change your fear to love, bit by bit, change it to love, I realized that that barking was that dog speaking to me. That barking was not that dog coming to bite me. It was talking to me in their language, you know. So what I'm saying here is the first step, this is what I would say, is to take action. Now that action, I gave you an example of my dog experience, but that action is going to be different for everyone. Yeah, some people be like, no, my anxiety is so bad, or my emotions is so all up and down. I don't even know where to begin, but you have to begin somewhere. And that's why I'm saying to you, that was one experience of many, you know, and we live with emotions every day. We're always going to live with emotions while we're here and while we're alive here on earth. Is how we choose for it to fester. That's the thing that we need to look at, how we choose for it to fester. Now, the quicker that we can act on it and we can face it, I think you said it earlier about being aware. So the first step would be, we're being aware, innit? I was aware of the dogs. I knew that that's something that I wanted to do. I love animals now. My whole house, I've got 2 cats, a dog, fishes. I love animals. Now, I know that I don't have that fear energy no more. I know that I don't have those anxieties and those emotions no more for that. Yeah, so that's one tick that I can at least tick off and say, okay, let me go to the next now, and let me go to the next. So it's about taking control of your own inner self, of this fear emotion that we have. You called it a negative emotion, an emotion that negative, I would say, would still come probably with fear. That's the whole reason why it's probably negative, because we're fearing it for some reason, or we don't understand it. You know, we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know when it comes up, what to do, when it shows itself. Sometimes people's emotions, they don't even know it's here. They don't even know it comes until somebody says, oh, do you know you was acting like that? Or do you know that you felt you was acting a certain way, or you said something and I felt like your energy changed. Are you okay? And they'd be like, no, I'm okay, nothing's wrong. So again, what I'm saying is that let's start with the actions. Let's start doing the steps, yeah? I'm a meditation instructor, so I do meditation. I teach meditation, teach through sharing. Meditation, again, is very good for our emotions, our mindset, yeah? It brings the yin and the yang together as the oneness of whatever we're going through in our life. It's not going to be for everyone. Yeah, even taking actions ain't going to be for everyone. What we're discussing here tonight is about things that we can do to deal with deep rooted emotions. Yeah, negative emotions, trauma that's happened in our life, and we don't know what to do with it. The first thing I would say is that we need to get to the stage of having to be aware and getting to that next stage of saying, okay, I'm ready. Because when you're saying you're ready and you start that path, it's going to be a path. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be something that's going to be that easy, you know, but throughout that path, you know that that light's at the end of that tunnel. And that's where faith comes in. Yeah. And another thing to deal with, some people like praying. Praying is very similar to meditation. You're going within, you're going with the God within, you know, to guide you and to balance that emotion out is well. Yeah. So again, there's different things that you can do to balance out that emotion. I'm not going to go too deep or anything like that, because for me, when we speak about emotions and we give it too much energy of it's this and it's that and we need to do this and we need to do that, sometimes it's too much for a person, you know, and it's like, well, that's just too much work. I wouldn't even know where to begin. What do you mean start? What do you mean put actions in place? What does that really mean? So the first thing for me would be, you need to be aware, sit with it, and you need to be aware. Those deep rooted emotions, what does that mean to you? Do you know what I mean? Where is it coming from? How does it show itself? We need to be able to understand those sort of things first before we can even start walking and taking actions to what we need to do to grow and learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned a lot of things. We really need to sit with them, sit with the emotions. Yeah, I'll just give some real life examples. You know, like people are going through a lot now. People are losing their jobs um, because of the pandemic. There's a lot. You know, I mean, it's more urgent now, you know, than it was before. At least before there were some distractions. We could distract ourselves during the day. But now people are forced to sit at home and to sit with those emotions, like you said. Um, there's little opportunity to numb them out. And it's really the meditation you mentioned, which is mindfulness, is yeah, really comes to play here. It's very important now because it's difficult for, like, I mean, in London, you could see the riots that is happening there. People want to go out because those
Yeah.
distractions actually help us escape from ourselves. It's not easy just sit down with yourself by yourself.
Yeah.
That's one of the most difficult things in life. It's easier to just go out, go to the pub, go watch football and other things, and keep escaping from
Yeah.
reality. Yeah. So apart from, how will I put it now? I was trying to bring another example. An example of a deep emotion like shame and fear. These are things that inhibit us from doing work that matters, basically. I've heard before that the fear of public speaking um, is more in people than even the fear of death. People would rather die than to speak in public. A lot of people they don't even have the confidence or the courage to make this kind of videos that we're doing now and
Yeah.
to show up, to be criticized, because you're
Yeah.
coming out and you're saying something and
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up to criticism, basically. Uh,
Yeah.
and especially, I mean, it's on social media, so any random person can see it. and make any random comment.
Yeah.
And through my years on social media, you know, I've seen so many comments. I've seen thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of comments. I don't know. So I've learned not to take things so personally in life. But to even go deeper, you know, the Buddhist, it just reminds me of the Buddhist saying, the saying of the Buddha, I think, you know, that's the first of the four, what are they called again? In Buddhism, the four cardinal truths or something like that. The first one is that life is suffering. What he meant, there are different translations of suffering. The real word is dukkha. Life is dukkha. That means it's unsatisfactory. And what he was just trying to explain there is that nothing is permanent. Every emotion, every feeling is impermanent. They come and they go. If you let them go, I'm still trying to come back to your point again on meditation. Because if you're doing meditation, that means you're observing your thoughts, right? Because I'm not a practitioner as such. I try to do it once in a while, but I don't do it every day. So I know we are trying to observe our emotions or our thoughts, and it makes us understand that we are experiencing it, and it is not us.
Yes.
But if you're not in that state, you know, and those emotions take over your senses, then you become the emotion.
Yeah. Or you think you're becoming the
Oh
emotion.
yeah, you think that you are and that's where it becomes paralyzing.
Yeah.
But my question about meditation, because what I read about is that people do it in the morning, and you know, and then they go out to work. But is there a way? Because for me, the way I do it, I try to punctuate all through the day of staying aware, of being in that meditative state, but not actually sitting down and meditating. So whenever the emotions arise, I'm always aware, and I learned it by myself, and I've grown to learn it. So I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it. I'll be asking you.
No, that is. For me, I've been meditating for over 20 odd years, and I now have meditation classes, Tibetan. So I do Tibetan meditation, and I connected with the Tibetan meditation. There's no difference. It's all mindfulness. Yeah, it's all the same. It's just a different word that I'm using. The Tibetan meditation I've connected with because I have a lineage. You know, I'm quarter Tibetan myself. So I just have a lineage there. That's the reason why I'm saying Tibetan. If not, they're all the same and it's all one. With meditation, it's what you said, how you connect with your inner self. So connecting with your inner self, what does that mean? Yeah, understanding yourself. What does that really mean? You know, when you ask yourself that question, you know, or when I give it in my classes that I do, many people would say, "No, I don't know. I don't know myself. I don't know my inner me." You know, and we don't know our inner us because we haven't been taught. We have not been taught to know that if something's wrong, we go within first. We get the answers. We get the guidance, and then we can go out of ourselves to get whatever we need to get to get to the next stage. It's the other way around. We go out first, you know, even if it's a fair emotion, we're not sure, we don't know what it is, something's angered us, we go out. Yeah, if we're angry about something, we're going to shout out, we're going to have an argument with someone, it's always going out. We're not looking within first to say, okay, why has this emotion come up? Why do I feel like this? Is it me? Did anything happen? And this is coming back to what you said. It's about being aware of your mindset. Now, that's what I teach. And I won't say the word teach because I don't see myself as a teacher. That is what I share. And by people being able to be aware of their mindset more, just like what you've done, you get to a stage where that is meditation. So I very rarely, I still do it only because I like it. I would meditate 5 in the morning. So I'll get up 5 in the morning and I'll do my sitting down, relaxation, meditation state. And that's the only one that I do at 5 in the morning. Anything else throughout the day is just there constantly. So I could be doing work. I'm constantly in that meditative state. So I'll go in and out throughout the day constantly. Whenever I feel like it's needed, it just comes. But I might be doing something. I might be washing up. I might be doing work. I might be with people. I might be walking on the street. I might be driving, you know, but I'm in that meditation state. So what you just said is correct for me, because when you become that, then anything that shows up, so it could be a trauma from your past that comes up, you're going to see it straight away. You're going to be able to recognize it, and you're going to be able to be aware straight away, like, oh, that's come up. And you're able to see it for what it is. But that's when I was 2. Oh, I didn't realize. And you're able to do something about it there and then because you're aware. And that's what meditation does. Meditation makes you not take away the ego, not try to disregard your mindset, but to connect with it and to be able to not just be at one with it, but to be able to guide it. Because all these emotions that we have inside of us, a lot of them need guiding. You know, a fair emotion that we have within us, all of us have it, it needs guidance. It doesn't need us to be fair of the emotion. It needs us to guide it when it shows up. You know what I mean? When it shows itself, and give it some love and say, it's okay. We've got this. You know what I mean? It's okay. This trauma's come up from the past. It's the past now. We don't live there anymore. It's okay. You know, let's deal with it. It's come up again. Let's deal with it. Let's not carry it on into our present day, on into the future. Why? Because we don't live there anymore. It's just in our minds. You know what I mean? We cannot go back there. We can't make changes. We never can make changes of the past. You know, we can't change this this video now that we're doing live. We can't change the minute of what we've just said because it's gone. You know, so sometimes when we think of the past, we have to be able to disconnect from it and be aware of it and understand that there's nothing we can do. It's gone now. You know, so what can we do now to be aware of it for us to walk on into the future and not take it with us? How can we change it for? Yeah. And again, with meditation, we talk about changing our mindset. To change our mindset, yeah, I would say in the physical form, it would probably take to really change a habit or to change an emotion that comes up all the time where it's become a habit. It would probably take, in our earthly world, about 30 days for it to really fester and change form. Because when we're doing something and it's a habit, or it's a fear or an anger emotion, it's become a habit. So it's something that our mind just connects to straight away. Straight away it comes up and we're like, oh, we're fearful. And it just gets used to it. Our mindset gets used to that fear. So we need to change it. And to change form, we need to change our mindset of how we see it. So instead of saying fear, change something like, okay, I'm going to start loving it. Oh, how am I going to love something that's the past, that was trauma? That's hard for me. How am I going to love something, someone, you know, might have cancer, might have a illness, and emotions comes up constantly of fear. They think they're going to pass away. How can you tell me to love that? You know, and I will tell you to love it. I will tell you to, let's work on this.
Yeah, for me, fear, most, how do I put it? Those negative emotions, so to say, for me, I know that on the other side of it is something positive. So I use them as signs, as signals, as my spiritual teachers. they're actually teaching me what
Yes.
to do. They're showing me the next things to
Yes.
do. How will I put it now? Whatever I'm afraid of, do it now. If I really think about it and it's not a real fear of maybe somebody's about to kill you or something, that's a different thing. But if it's a fear of doing something or of saying something, or like if I just flip it around, I can see where it's trying to point to me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how I use it. It's not easy, but yeah, I try to do it most of the time. And like you said, they are deep rooted. I just got married last year, and it's really incredible, because I've lived alone for like 8 years or something. And the real test, of your whole self awareness or whatever you call it, is when you start living with another person.
Yeah.
Because they are going to trigger you and you're going to trigger them.
Yeah.
I never I didn't.
Yeah.
How would I put it? Ah, it's been an experience for me. It's like everybody is here to teach us something, and
Yeah.
when I write it or when we say it, it just sounds like cliche, but it's not. For real, if you actually live in a deep state, everybody is going to, if you stay with somebody for too long, they will trigger something, in you that needs to be healed, that you have not healed yet. So
Yeah.
I go through it every day. Even my little baby she triggers me sometimes. And she's barely 18 months old.
Yeah.
And so it cannot be her fault.
No.
At least if you're an adult, you could say maybe that other person is doing it on purpose or whatever. But if a baby can trigger you, then there has to be, there's actually something like how will I put it? There are emotions within us
Yeah.
that are there to show us something. And so that's how I look at it. I look at them as signals, as guides, as direction, as teachers, basically, of
Yeah.
of how to act,
Yeah.
how to behave,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to let me not say react, how to respond to things rather than reacting to it. Those things
Yeah.
that make you angry. When anger comes up, it's telling you not to react the way you used to react. And until you learn that lesson, you're going to keep making that mistake all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the way you call those emotions like your teacher, something's an energy that's guiding you to look at that, and to look at yourself. I like that. And I like I would see it also as a mirroring, an emotion of somebody else that's mirroring you. Sometimes it could be mirroring your past. That's where the root trauma comes in. Sometimes it can be mirroring your present. And sometimes it's mirroring you something that you're not going to know into the future. And you're like, wow, do you remember that time when that happened? I understand it now because you're mirroring that. So, sometimes it could be your past, your present, and your future. Whatever it is, it's a learning curve. It's experiences that we need to be able to, if we want to, because it's a choice, look at it. And if you know that I call it not wearing the t-shirt no more. I'm like, I don't want to wear this t-shirt no more. I want to wear a new one. I've had it. You know what I mean? I've had enough. And when you get to that point, I would say to anyone, it's as simple as changing your mindset. It's so simple. And it used to be so hard for me. In my 20s and early 30s, I used to think like, why me? Everything was why me. The whole of my life. Why me this? Why me that? Why, and I was not looking at myself, and it wasn't anyone else. It wasn't at all. It was me. I was not making the changes. I was staying in that cycle of just being down and not understanding life and paycheck to paycheck and, you know, having children and being a parent and not understanding. When you talk about emotions, emotions of being a parent is a massive one, because you get so many emotions, especially when you have more than one child, because every child is going to have different personalities and their own path of why they're here. Yeah. And we as parents, we have to be able to deal with that. So our emotions will clash, and it's going to clash because we're all growing at different times. I'm talking about our children. They're babies. They're still growing. They're still having their growth spurt of emotions that they're going through, and we're still having ours. You know, so we have to look at that. So that's another way of looking at our emotions. It's now that we're going deep into this conversation, we're realizing that emotions are massive, and we can go to different concepts of emotions, little more. It's going to be able to still come back to the same thing. And the same thing's going to be, we have to go within. Yeah. And the same thing is going to be if you're dealing with emotions that you know that you just don't want to live with it no more. You want it to change form. It can. It can change form. Nothing stays the same. You know, the only thing that stays the same is what you think in your mind. And that's the only thing that stays the same, because energy naturally moves. It has to. It's not stuck. So we're never stuck. We might think we are in our mindset, but we're not, never stuck. So it's to do with our mindset and being able to change that.
Yeah. I think in the end, it's all about our sense of self, who we think
Yeah.
we are, our
Yeah.
self-image, our self, everything. And that's basically what I've been teaching for a while. I'm not scared of using the word teach again because because people have sent in comments to me. How do I put it? Messages that they are learning something from me. So if
And
they are
that's
learning
fantastic.
something from me, then
Yes.
I'm probably teaching something.
Yeah, but we remember we need
Yeah,
teachers. We need
but
these labels out here. You know, I like being taught.
but the teacher is also the students too, because I'm also learning
Yeah,
from them. It's
yeah,
yeah, I am. I'm a perennial student of life. So, but everybody has something to teach the
yeah,
next person.
yeah,
You just to have the courage, basically, to come out and teach, because I haven't experienced what you have experienced. It's not possible. I can't know everything that you know, and you cannot know everything that I know. And so
yeah,
we are here to teach each other. We are all teachers.
yeah.
There's no. We're all teachers and we're all students at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What?
it's the sense of self, basically. That's where we get that. That's where we mistake. That's the core of the mistake. A lot of us believe. I'm not saying anyone is wrong or right, but you know, if you believe that you are your body and you are the label, well, yes, you are the body, but there's also something deeper than the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an intelligence. I mean, even scientifically, it's called consciousness. That's the hard problem. They cannot explain what it is, what that sense of self is.
Yes.
Yeah, who that experiencer is. So it's there, and there's the functioning body that we use. But if you only identify with your body, your face, the name that was given to you, your job, and all that, that's where the problem lies, because um, the body is actually the unconscious mind. This is the emotions, and I mean, it's the six senses that feel all those things, and yeah, and transform it into what we call, emotions. So if you identify with just that, then it's going to be a problem, because you're always going to be in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our memory, everything, our knowledge is always in the past.
Yeah.
Then, or you're thinking about the future, you're catastrophizing, basically. Like, we tend to believe that the worst is going to happen. we hardly ever believe that the best is coming. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, someone that doesn't have a job, is not ever thinking that, it's only like, it's not everybody that has that positive way of looking at things. Most people envisage trouble coming. And even when good things happen to us, I mean, so the first instinct that I have sometimes is that, when is the next bad thing happening? That kind of thing. So
it's weird that you should say that. Well, nothing's weird that you I shouldn't use that word, but I'll say it's nice that you should say that, because I was speaking to somebody else in the week and they were saying the same thing about oh, when something good happens, then something bad. So they wait for the bad.
Yeah.
Because it's so
mindset.
Good.
It's not real. It's just it's not real.
Yeah, it's so good that they're like, no, we're waiting for the bad now, because this is the pattern that usually happens. So I'm waiting for the bad. And I said to them, and I said, you've made that a pattern in your mind. You've made that happen. So that's probably going to happen. So let's wait together and see, what happens, because you've made that in your mind. And they said to me, well, don't you get that? And I said, well, no, because I chose early on to not see negative and positive. I just see experiences. That's all I see. So anything that comes my way, even if it's a situation that I have to deal with that might not be so happy and nice, it's a situation. So I won't see it as negative. I'm like, okay, I need to learn from this. How am I going to deal with it? What do I need to learn? Why has it come to me? It's come to me because I can deal with it. Okay, so I don't see negatives no more. And it took me a long time to get to this space of not seeing negative, because anything that comes my way is meant to. That's what I'm meant to be experiencing. And I learned early on in my growth is that when we know this is the case, because when we look at people's lives, or if we look at our own life, look at the pattern of people's lives. Yeah, you will get some people that experience something, then you get somebody else who will be like, oh, I never experienced that at all. Then you get somebody said, oh yeah, I experienced something similar, but never the same. Then you get somebody else saying, no, I never experienced that at all. Because we all have our own journey, and we're not here to experience everything. We're here to experience our contract of what we know we can handle, even though it seems like no way can we handle it. I always believe if it's come your way and it's in your journey for you to learn from, you can handle it. If not, it won't be part of your school of life, So again, we can do it that way.
Yeah, like you said, there's so many aspects to talk about. Like there's a real one like grief, people that lose loved ones, and people that lose their whole family. It can really be devastating. And what we're saying here might not even be a solution for someone like that. I've had whatever I've heard of someone that lost all his family in a go. So things happen in this life, very disturbing things. Yeah, so, but we'll just discuss, I like to talk based on my own experiences and based on my own journey. And if anybody is, how do I put it, feeling what I'm saying, because I can't explain another person's journey. I'm just here to experience my own and to talk about my own. And I feel that by talking even by speaking, it's another way of dealing with these emotions. Having somebody or having some trusted people just to talk about it, like it's energy now. The voice, how do I put it, the communication, the words, the energy that's bringing out the words, has some kind of healing properties. I have discovered. So if I keep hiding it, it gets worse. If I say it out to one person, I feel better. If I say it to two people, I feel much better. If I can say it to many people, then that shame is actually, what that fear or is actually gone. But it's difficult to say it because we don't want to look weak. We don't want to look vulnerable. I don't know what word to use for it. Nobody wants to be looked at as someone that's, how do I say? Yeah, there are things that we still hide. There are a lot of things that we hide. So we need to be able to select. That's why I talk about, we're not just the inner circle, having a circle of friends, that that you can actually discuss some kind of things with. That's another way of doing for me, of dealing with my own anxiety and those kind of things. And when you tell someone else their opinion, I mean, they see it in a different light than you are because you're the one carrying the emotion that maybe doesn't even exist for them. So.
And that's always going to happen. You're always going to get different concepts and different perceptions. And that's something we have to deal with as well. And we have to be able to understand that everyone has their own way of how they perceive your communication or they perceive your talk or whatever you're sharing. They might get it completely different. And you're like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I meant this, but they took it their way. And we have to be able to be okay with that and allow them to have their own perception of how they see things. Just quickly, I want to touch on what you just said about your own experience and having your circle of friends that you speak to, because you know what we're dealing with at the moment with what's happening in life. And we're having a lot of males that's not being able to speak out, and like mental health situations, those emotions as well are coming through for a lot of males. So hearing you say that and hearing you say that, when you speak out, what it does for you, that's something that we need to really share, because males and females have different energies and they connect differently and communicate differently. And even the young males coming up, the young boys and young youths coming up, they're finding it or found it very challenging in the lockdown period. A lot of them said, I just didn't know what to do. I had no one to speak to. I didn't know how to release any form of emotions or energy. So again, that's another thing that we need to look at and be mindful of as well, So thanks for sharing that as well. And I wanted to bring that male part into it because, we always say when we're on our spiritual path, we talk about the oneness and we talk about male and female as being one so much that we need to still remember that we're still human. And in this human earthly world, we're seen as male and female, and we need to just remember the males. I really want to put that out there. Let's remember them and support them and love them as well, and get them to a place where they can be comfortable with communicating and sharing, and showing their emotions, bringing out the feminine side in them. That's what it is, bringing out the feminine side, which I know that you have, which is good.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's probably why I came. I think that's one of the one of the messages I came to share. Just sharing about myself. The male, of course, even mostly the males are the ones that have biologically we have the Y chromosome, which is why we're structurally different. The women have two X chromosomes, so the man has the X and the Y. That's why we are a bit different. So we all have we inherited both male and female traits, but society has conditioned how do I put it, has conditioned men not to recognize their own feminine side. In the past, it was okay when we were hunters and farmers and whatever. It was needed when they were carrying spears to kill animals and all that, when their life was under threat. So the kind of jobs that we had in the past was based on how strong we were, muscles and all that. Then in these present times, the kind of jobs that we have now are more intellectual and technology information based. But we're already seeing that that in the future, um, work is not even going to be about all that. Work is going to be about heart-centered work. Um, it's going to be about caring for people. Um, it's going to be about um, who can care more, basically. And that's the shift that we're seeing now. We're seeing that the most important people, not really, yeah, I would say the most important people in society are actually the carers and the nurses, the doctors, and the people that are giving us food. Every other business is shut down. But
Yeah.
yeah, but the caring business is open for everybody and anyone that wants to help. So that's where the work is going to go to. All the talk about sustainability and everything is all heading towards that, protecting the planet, protecting this, protecting that. So it's all about caring again. That's where that's where the future is. That's where the next money making is going to be. People are going to recognize with time, that all these artifacts that we were scrambling for before is really not worth it. No, that's not worth it, but the materialism is going to reduce, in future. There's not going to be that mass production of things and all that we're doing before. Healthy eating, healthy living, everything is coming. Like people are fighting for equal rights. It's all about who cares the most. Politics is going to be about who cares the most, who cares for for everybody in society, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm seeing it's heading to. It's just starting now. There's a revolution there. There's a lot of people like you doing your coaching work, doing your whatever. The coaching business is spreading. Like a lot of people are doing it. It's still not structured as such because anybody can come and do it. But everybody needs a coach now. Like people are actually opening up and seeking.
It's just it's giving that guidance. It's giving that the guidance to know that someone's there, and knowing that someone's there caring enough to guide you along your journey. There will be a time where you're gonna have to have the strength and the love to literally say, okay, I'm ready to do this journey on my own now. I'm ready to find that love within. And when I say do the journey on your own, I don't mean like don't have no family or no partners or no kids or anything like that. I'm just talking about loving within and finding that inner self. To find that inner self, you have to go within, and to go within, it's not about taking anyone, because you don't need to take anyone when you know that going within is within the oneness of everyone anyway, but you need to get there first, and it takes time, and it's okay to go on your journey and take your time, like a tortoise. It's okay to take your time. The world that we live in now is so fast. It's like, no, I have to do this now, or I have to get there now. You don't have to get there now, and you don't have to do that now. You don't even need to find yourself now if you don't want to. You can do it in your own time. So it's time is the essence. There's no time, but we think that everything has to just be fast these days as well.
Yeah, no, the pandemic is teaching us, that we don't even that we can't even hurry anything. Like you were saying, we have to, because before this, there were deadlines. You have to be in the office. You have to do annual reports, all those kind of things. It doesn't exist again. They are begging everybody to stay at home and do nothing. Just when we thought things were going to come back to normal and people were planning to go back, how they put it to the old normal, there's a second wave, so everybody stay at home again for another 6 months. And it's very welcome. I love it because because the environment is going to recover from all the pollution. All the
Exactly.
planes and the flying. I mean, this is going to be like 1 full year of recovery or even more.
Yeah.
Then people need to learn to actually be on their own with their family or just by yourself, and not be distracted by so many things. I know there's still social media to distract, but at least you can't go outside and distract yourself. So it's all coming back to to that self-knowledge. There's something that is trying to teach us. It's trying to teach everybody, and it's teaching the whole world at the same time. It's never happened before. They've never locked down the whole world before. This is the first time. So there's a lesson that we're all meant to learn from this. And I'm still trying to use my intuition or whatever to try and figure out what that lesson is for me personally, and also for everybody. So we've done about
an hour.
Oh, we've done an hour plus. Wow. So I think we should be rounding up our discussion because if not, then we might go on forever. What would do you have anything to say, like in summary, before we round up?
The summary, what I would leave with is really simple. No anything too deep or anything complex, and dealing with deep-rooted emotions comes to the stage of getting to a place of knowing and understanding your inner self. Because when you understand your inner self, or you get to understand your inner self, because it's a growth thing, isn't it? So it's going to probably be ongoing. But when you get to that stage of going within, then that attaches your emotions as well. When you get to that stage of being more aware of when it shows up, then you're starting to learn it more. You're starting to understand it more. So again, going within. If you're into meditation, if you're into mindfulness, just connect. And while we're here in this present moment of staying in more, the world's changing, the elements are doing their thing, for us to be able to grow more, we need to understand that. And by doing that, let's take time out for us. Let's take time out to go within, So what I would say to anyone that's listening tonight is, what did you get from this? What did you get from this? What things did you get where you can say, that point there made me look at this that way? And start being aware of your emotions. Everyone's emotion is going to pop up in different ways and in different times. As we both said, it's going to pop up in our past, our present, and it's going to be the future as well. So we need to be able to look at that when it pops up and take it for what it is, be aware, be the observer, and see what is there to teach us. See what is there to teach us. And if you don't want to wear that t-shirt no more, what I would say to you is that go and get a new one. You don't want to wear that t-shirt no more, go and get a new one and start to change that mindset.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing your experience with us. Where can our viewers find you online? What's the easiest way to find you?
So you can find me as the Sage Oneness on Facebook. You can find me at the Sage Oneness YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page called The Sage as well. And we're also on Instagram as The Sage Oneness. So once you connect with The Sage Oneness, we're popped up anywhere, on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And I also, like yourself, I put up videos as well of positive thinking, of sharing life, how to connect with your inner self, and just really connecting with us all. You know, just really connecting with us all, and sharing the way forward within our spiritual journey.
Oh, all right. Thanks. Thanks for showing up. I hope maybe one day we'll get to collaborate again. It's really been
Yeah.
a pleasure working with you.
And you.
It's been quite
Yes.
easy. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
It's
Thank you
been
so
quite
much.
easy, working with you from all the phone calls and everything. Yeah. I hope that one day we can get to do something again together.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.